guys, welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, my name is Yvonne and you have landed on GingerChickRehab, where I love to take secondhand finds and make them over, and sometimes my secondhand finds lead me into doing DIY crafts. And it's the season. We are in the fall season, the Halloween season, the spooky season. So in today's video, I am sharing an inspiration that I saw over probably about a year ago on Ellen Good's page via Facebook. And then I took a picture of it and I'm like, okay, when it gets to be that spooky season again, I want to try to recreate these. So all year I have been looking for items that I could, and would you know, most of the items were purchased at the Dollar Tree. So I hope you're ready for some pumpkin makeovers. Oh my goodness, these turned out so super cute, so easy, minimal supplies. I absolutely love it, and I love getting inspiration from other people who create. So I'm going to start this project off with these two pumpkins. So they are just carvable foam pumpkins, Dollar Tree, Dollar General, I'm sure Hobby Lobby, you know, any place, even Amazon, you can order some of these pumpkins. So I'm going to start off with just taking that little foam stem out that they have kind of toothpicked in there. I'm not going to pull the tag off though, because I'm afraid that might put a bigger hole than I want to be in this pumpkin. And then I'm just going to use my Japanese saw. You could probably use a knife, a carving tool, electric knife if you wanted to, just to cut this pumpkin in half on its seam. So now we have two pumpkins, halves. So I'm actually going to go ahead and cut the stem in half too. I'm not positive that will be in my final design, but while I'm in the process of cutting things, I'm going to go ahead and cut it in half. Then I'll go ahead and retach them just like they were, just using a toothpick, a little bit of Gorilla Glue, and then they will be back on there. So now what I need to do is I want to kind of push in the foam. Now this is hollow, so I don't want to go all the way through it. I just kind of want to push in the foam and start giving this pumpkin a face. So I'm going for those vintage vibe, old-timey folk art, kind of inspired just like Ellen's was. So all I'm doing is taking a back of one of my waxing brushes and I'm kind of just indenting it. Like I said, I just want to indent it a little bit just so I have that round circle. I can kind of eyeball where it doesn't have to be perfect. That's the fun of this folk art. It's, you know, that perfectly imperfect. So we're just going to have fun with this project. So after I get them indented in enough that I have that round shape, I'm going to take an X-Acto knife and I'm going to cut off that excess, like that little skim layer of the orange and just a little bit of the styrofoam. I don't want to go all the way through. I just want to leave a little kind of crater so I know where we have some defined eyes. And then I did that on both of my pumpkin halves. So now that styrofoam is going to be all bumpy. So I'm just going to take some spackling and I'm just going to fill in that. I'm not filling in to make it smooth. I'm filling in too so you don't see the styrofoam bumps. And it's really going to define the eyes. My next up, I really want to define the eyes and a mouth. So I'm taking some air dry clay and I'm just going to kind of roll it into a snake, into a roll, just something, trying to get it semi, like I said, perfectly imperfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just a long string type that I'm going to go ahead and wrap around the eyes. Once I get my length, I snap the excess off and then I'll kind of blend it, you know, making the clay go into one another to make it look like it's a complete circle. To adhere the air dry clay, I'm just going to be using some Titebond Quick and Thick. So this is just a creating as you go kind of process, like whatever your mind's like, okay, I've got the eyes done now. Now I want to work on a mouth. So I'm going to cut out the mouth. I'm going to get it down to that styrofoam. That styrofoam yet again is bumpy, so I'm going to put some of the spackling in there to make it nice and smooth. I'm going to take a wet wipe to get that extra off around there before rolling it out. Another piece of air-dried clay to glue it on like I did for the eyes. And if you noticed on this pumpkin, I did not do the eyes. I am just going to go ahead and do the mouth. And I think I'd like to make him a nose. So I'm kind of making almost like candy corn type of nose, just a little triangle, kind of just forming it with my fingers, making a flat spot to adhere it to his face. So I'm going to use some of that Tide Bond glue to glue it. I'll do this as just a makeup as you go kind of thing. So now I'm just going to do a little button type of round nose for my other one. So now this is just a fun project, y'all. So I'm going to end up working on 4 of these. So I'm going to be showing 4 of these, but I'm working on them all at the same time because I'm going to have to let my glue and my air dry clay dry really. So I might as well start working on the other ones. So this is just the other guy. I'm going to cut out some eyes on this one, and then I'm kind of helping along. The X-Acto knife lid kind of made a complete circle, so that was nice that I had something to trace on. The brush worked kind of, but this one's cutting into it a little bit more to give me that nice circle. So now, even though my spackling is wet, I know that I'm going to let these sit overnight to dry. So I'm going to go ahead and proceed on painting them. And so I have Tuscan orange in my arsenal of oranges. That's all I have. And I'm going to mix some baking soda just to give it a little bit of texture, not necessarily just because the pumpkins are so smooth. I just want it to grab on a little bit better, and hopefully that baking soda will do the job. Yes, I am. Not only is my spackle wet, my air dry clay is wet. Also, like I said, I know that I'm going to have to let these sit overnight anyway for all that to dry, so why not just proceed on painting over it. Now I know pumpkins all can be orange, but why not make a few white ones? So 2 orange, 2 white. Still going to do that same first coat mixture of baking soda in with my paint. And for this one, these next 2, I am using the Parchment by Fusions. Love Fusion paint, primer, paint, and top coat all in one, so it should adhere wonderfully. Oh, my final pumpkin, it was part of a thrift haul. It was in an auction box, and I know some people probably would have just thrown it away, but so it's got a few little holes. Nothing a little spackle can't fix, right? Right? Okay, so that one's a little bit bigger of a hole, but I'm not intimidated by it. I'm gonna go ahead and fill it in and get this one painted up with that same parchment. So now my half a pumpkins, I need a board to put them on, and these Dollar Tree canvases are perfect. This white one is perfect for Summer Recycle's new decoupage paper. I absolutely love this black and white paper. I thought, oh, this is so folk art to go with this pumpkin head. So I'm just going to cut off what I think will cover the canvas, and then we are just going to use some Mod Podge to adhere it to the canvas. While my paper is still wet, I've got quite a few wrinkles. The canvas is a little bumpy and it gives too much, but that's okay. I want to help dry it out. I want to go ahead and see if I can get some of those air bubbles out. Sometimes that just happens, y'all. So I'm just taking some parchment paper, a no steam iron, and I'm going over, if you have a Cricut heat press, that would work too. Just something like 30 seconds just to help adhere the paper, kind of work out the wrinkles, and hopefully eliminate more of those air bubbles. My next step for the canvas is to give the canvas a back. So all I'm doing is taking some contractor's paper, some brown paper if you had cardstock that fit this type of frame, this size of frame. It's the biggest ones that the canvases that the Dollar Tree store has. I'm not sure exactly on the sizing as I'm editing this, but I'm just going to go ahead and hot glue that onto the back. And then after I get it hot glued on, I'm going to take some 220 sandpaper and I'm just going to start sanding the paper off to give it that nice clean back. Not only does Dollar Tree just have the plain white, but Dollar Tree has black canvases. Be still my heart, I absolutely love them. So I'm not going to cover up the entire canvas, but I do have these decoupage little smaller pieces by Rocycle that has some Harlequin triangles in it, I think it's called. I'm not positive on the name. I just know that I like the triangles and I love the age of the paper. If I slaughter the names, y'all don't worry. I will have it down in the description box below if you're interested in anything I'm using today. I try really hard. If not, let me know if I missed something. But now that I have that cut out, I want to distress the edges because actually it's almost the same size as what this canvas is, but I don't want to have that crisp straight line. I want to make it look like it's war, so I just wet it down, misted it down a little bit, and now I'm just gingerly just ripping off just a little bit of those edges to give it that worn look. Okay, now I ironed that paper also just to help it dry because I want to move on. I'm going to use some of the Quick and Thick to adhere my pumpkin half faces to the boards. Oh, I am already loving how this is turning out. There's just something about orange and then the black and the aged white is just awesome. Well, this is the next day. I let them dry overnight. The air dry clay is dry, the paint is dry, the glue is dry. So now we can start working on the details. So most all the paints I'm using are going to be Fusion. And so now I'm going to go in and I think my pumpkin needs to smile. He needs some teeth. So I'm going to go ahead in with that parchment and fill in his mouth with white. So this is kind of like that, you just kind of take your time and just, work on it. It's a fun DIY. And now for the white one, I'm going to go in with some Fusion Coal Black and do my details. So if you noticed on this one, I turned it a little. I have it not going the wide way. I have it going more tall on this one. So I thought that this little dabber was small enough kind of to go in and like dab it, but just because there's that indent and didn't make a complete dab, but at least it gives me a circle to work with. So this is what I did. While my paint was drying, I worked on other features of my project. So I want him to have some type of little collar, something around the neck, and look at Dollar Tree had some scrunchies. And I fell in love with this orange pommy one, I guess you'd call it. I don't know. I'm like, that is it. I need that. I know it's a hair scrunchie, but we can make it work. That's all I had to do was cut the rubber band, cut it to size, and now I can hot glue it in place. And this is really going to start coming together. So y'all, Dollar Tree just had some amazing little fun things. Look at this little hat. Oh my goodness. Though I don't want the brim of the hat. I just want the cone because the brim's not going to really work on this canvas. So really it was easy just to pop off. Although I should have taken the tag and the string off first. But that's how things work. And I wanted to leave the stick because I want to push it into the foam, but it would be too much. I need to cut it off. So just some nips, cutting it to size. I thought it was just going to be like a wooden dowel, but it wasn't. It was actually wired in there. And no, I don't know why I thought I needed to have the stem on, but it doesn't really matter because it's going to get covered up with the hat. Oh my gosh, is that not too cool? I don't even care that the hat is a little bit bigger than the canvas, y'all. Remember, folk art, perfectly imperfect. I'm going to go ahead and now that I dry fit it, seeing if I love it or not, I'm going to put some hot glue on it. And I can't say artistry is my thing by any means, like painting murals or painting flowers or scenes or anything like that. So I'm hoping the folk art type will be okay. So now I'm going to do the cheesy Chester Cat smile on him, and we'll see how it goes. The one thing about being a hairdresser for 30 some years is, I went through the stage in the 80s, the early 90s where everybody wanted perms. So double carpal tunnel surgery, sometimes fine details like signing or writing are not my hands friends by any means. So I'm hoping that I can kind of, if I have just a little bit of paint on the paintbrush, I can achieve the look that my mind is going for. Sometimes, your hands don't always cooperate. I know anybody that has arthritis or anything like that, or any other things that cause you not to be able to do, I totally get this. So I'm just trying to really take my time and just have a little bit of paint on my brush, so hopefully I don't mess it up too bad. I warned you that this was just, as I'm working at it, everything was a thought process. I painted them and did everything in one day, and then I got my stash of embellishments out the next day, and I'm like, look at that, just matches perfectly. It was like a spray of balls, so the balls match, the color matches that little palm glittery that is around their neck. I'm just going to go ahead and take that Japanese saw. I pulled my little clay nose off. Luckily it came off, so it's orange. It's okay because I'm going to glue this one back in that place. I tell you, Dollar Store was just packed with everything. I fell in love with this ribbon. I'm like, oh yeah, I remembered I have that ribbon, which I think will tie everything together. I was going to put some letters like Happy Halloween or something like that, but after you get the pumpkins on the canvases, there's really not a ton of room to do so, and that's okay. We already know what our theme is going around, and what if you don't want it to have, what if you're that person and you decorate like this all the time and you don't want it to say Happy Halloween? I think a lot of people that do the folk art don't necessarily, it's not just for Halloween. So I'm going to start off by gluing it onto the side of the frame. I'm not really going to have to glue it to the front, just the two sides should be fine to do this ribbon. So now that that one's done, we'll do the reveal after I get them all done. Well, two and two. We'll do two and two, so you're not waiting till the very end. So now I'm going to go ahead and color in the orange pumpkins detail using some of that Cold Fusion Black. See, you do not have to do the air dry clay. You don't even have to do the indent if you do not want to. Just the world is just whatever your vision can create. So I'm just making a circle around the eye, leaving a little bit of the orange showing, just an outer ring. I'm going to do that to both eyes. Going to go down and do the lip and make that black, and then for some reason I thought I needed to make a triangle outline on the nose, but I hated it as soon as I did it. But you know what happens? You got to let the paint dry before you can paint over it because just trying to wipe it off doesn't necessarily work. So just ignore this black triangle around the nose. But I love how I off-centered the nose. I love how the little lip is kind of curled up. It's just so much fun. If you notice on those vintage pumpkins, they do add some other colors in there, like yellow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make an inner, like, pupil of the eye using some of the little star, just making it, still keeping some of the white, but just kind of painting a circle in there. So while that paint is drying, I'm going to work on this one's collar, and I have this ribbon, and I believe this one came from Walmart. So if I get any of the supplies confused, only in between Walmart and Dollar Store and Thrifted did any of my supplies come from. But I love this ribbon because it reminds me of that old Victorian type of collar they would have wore back in the day. So if I like buckle it, I guess maybe, so where I do like an end, glue that down, I'm going to leave a loop. I'm going to then glue another little down and then keep looping it. I'm not even sure what that technique is called. If you all know, let me know down in the comments. As I told you, I'm just making this up as I go, but I just love the thought of that collar, and he really needed something black. Now that my paint is dry, I'm going to go in with some of this Willow Bank. It's a blue, so I'm just going to put a dot in the center of the eye. Now, it's probably a little bit close to black on here, but it will give it just a hue. This is the lightest blue that I had on hand. I'm still working up on, building my supplies, my inventory of paints. And when I was doing the yellow of the eyes, I forgot to share with you that I did a little, kind of like I said, it was kind of like a candy corn where I did a little bit of the yellow, and I'm going to do some white underneath. No, I haven't taken care of that black yet. I need to make sure that's good and dry before trying to put some of the couple of coats of orange to cover that up. Not only did Dollar Tree have those orange and black balls that were kind of fun that I used for the nose on the other one, they had these just wild curly Q stems. I thought, oh my gosh, I can have some hair. We can have some wild hair. And they're wired so perfect because then they will just stick into that foam. And then when I get them in place, I can give them a little haircut so they're not all the same length yet again. And then I can, since they're wired, I can kind of twist them a little bit more because they kind of are more flattened out, give them more of a perm type of look. Yeah, I have multiples. Don't worry. I think at my store I bought all that they had on hand because I thought, oh my gosh, these are so. I mean, I could use these in so many things. So there's just fun there. Again, I'm like, I put the stem in, but it doesn't really matter. I'll be covering the stem up. why not give him some silver glittery highlights? So I'm just going to wrap it around my finger to give it that twisty little curly Q effect. And then same thing, it's wired, so I can just stick it right into the head. I just think, like I said, this is so much fun creating these. Now I need something to cover up the stem a little bit more, that where I painted it orange, I can kind of see it. So I'm just going to take another one of these little balls, the foam balls, and I'm going to cut that in half, and I'm going to glue that in place to cover up the stem. And we need to complete the look with a Chester cat smile, some teeth showing. So yes, I have one more coat to do on the orange around the nose to cover up the black triangle that I did not like. But yes, we're going to go in and paint the teeth on. And I realize this folk art is not everybody's taste, but DIY crafting, if you're on a channel like this, is your jam. So now we're going to go ahead and do the full pumpkin. So this one, I went in, I put a little Dollar Tree felt hat on, so super cute. I went back in and gave some details by cutting off the foam. So like I said, it was a thought process. I like the indent of it all. Filled it in. Now we're going to paint it up. Okay, so let me share my thought process with you. Since this is the next day, I want to finish out my project. I don't want to wait for the air dry clay to dry, like go into day 3. I was trying to think, would hot glue work? Could I make the bump outs like I did with the air dry clay? Now, the hard thing about it is getting that air dry or the glue to be like smooth like you can the air dry clay. So it won't be perfect by any means, but at least I'll have those bump outs I'm looking for. So I probably preferred method would be the air dry clay. But, like I said, I like trying new things. I don't mind trying new things. And when you can see if different techniques work or they don't work. I mean, it's not, like I said, the hot glue is not as smooth as what the air dry clay is, but it still did the job. So I really do think that touch of yellow in the eyes takes this white pumpkin from snowman looking into the pumpkin looking, and then adding some orange in the nose itself just is really making this all come together. And of course we're going to do that Chester cat smile, because apparently that is what I really like about these types of pumpkins. But with that pointy hat and the way that this is turning out, I felt like he could use some eyebrows. So I actually just painted them on and then decided that I wanted them to be raised after I painted them. So then I put some hot glue on them and then painted over that. It's just how it is. So I'm going to dab my end of my brush into the black paint and give him some pupils too. So now we're going to finish up this guy. So other than making some indents where the eyes were, there's no glue, there's no bump outs like the air dry clay or anything like that. So now I'm just going to proceed on giving him a face. So I need to have one more finishing touch. I think he needs a hat. Yeah, those little stems don't really do much, and you tell this one wasn't even put on correctly, but I wasn't going to worry too much about it. So yes, Dollar Tree had black brush bottle trees. Oh my gosh. So I can make that into a hat, though it would be a little too long if I left it the length that it was. So I'm going to go ahead and, as a brush bottle tree addict, I'm going to cut it to be able to use it as a hat. With a little hot glue, now he has a hat. I did take the stem off, repaint that little area, and now I'm going to add a few more of these, like 2, just to make like a hat brim around. It just kind of looked like it needed a little bit more. I love that these are wired, that they stick right into that foam. So thank you so much for watching today's video. What did you think? Yeah, sometimes I had never done those before, so I changed my mind a couple times while I'm working. I always say here on the channel, do something until you love it. And if you don't love it, take it apart and do it again. And minimal is Dollar Tree, y'all. So anyway, I absolutely love how fun these were. You cannot do this wrong. You can glue, you can paint, you can embellish to your heart's desire, and they are just fun. Oh my gosh, 4 super fun, 2 just pumpkins, 2 on canvases that you can hang up, put on an easel, and just fun. That's all I have to say. If anything I would do different, I would get bigger pumpkins, but it was so fun to do these little guys. So let me know down in a comment below, have I inspired you to try these pumpkins? Check out Ellen Good via Facebook. She may have a YouTube. I just know that I saw it on like almost a year ago on Facebook. It was so cool. She does lives. I think she has a store maybe in New York. I'm not sure. I really didn't do a lot of searching. I just know that I screenshot that picture and I really wanted to try to recreate my version of it. So thanks again for watching. We will see you next time, guys, and you can see what we're up to. Bye. I know I'm in the workshop. I got paint. I'm working.